add up words or missing words. A shofet have to listen, a judge have to listen to what his ears hearing. That's how he can judge. He can't judge by other people saying. Now, for example, let's just understand something very important. I will tell you something, and you will pass it to Chaim Yankel, and Chaim Yankel have to pass the same message. By the time that it will reach to number 10, it will be completely different message, different meaning. So that's why you have every member of the Sanhedrin must speak 70 languages. So let's go back to what it says in the Megillah, Ish Yehudi. So I'm going to bring 4 different opinions why the Megillah says Ish Yehudi. The first one I'm going to bring from the Midrash, and the Midrash say, it's true, was many other Jews in Shushan, but Ish referring to the leader. Mordechai was the Jewish leader. He was the leader of the Jewish people in Shushan, in the capital of Shushan. Where do we see that? That it said in the Megillah, Asher Ugla, that he was took to exile from Eretz Israel by Nebuchadnezzar, Asher Ugla. Not only that, that he was, beside to be a leader, he was the person that was leading the Jewish people in the Galut. He was make sure that every Jews have to act with the Torah codes. Other opinion that what it mean Yehudi? Yehudi it's milshon Hodaya. Hodaya it's to thanks, nachon? So it said that they call him Dafka Ish Yehudi. He was a Jewish person, and we explain in the first shiur the heritage of Mordechai. That part of it was from Shevet Binyamin, from his father's side, and from his mother's side he was from Shevet Yehuda, nachon? But why is that? That he all the time used to praise and thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done for them. Another opinion, simply he was a Jewish person. He used to be Yirei Shamayim. He had the fear of heaven. The fourth opinion, that he always kept kosher in the diaspora. Always eat kosher stuff. Always used to eat kosher. Make sure that he looked after his soul, after his neshama. Never eaten something that has v'shalom was a hashash. Never mind not kosher, that there is a hashash that it's not kosher. That's why they say Ish Yehudi. Okay, let's go to verse 7. In verse 7, it says here something very interesting. ויהי אומנת הדסה, היא אסתר בת דודו. כי אין לה אב ואם, והנערה יפת תואר וטובת מראה, ובמות אביה ואימה לקחה מרדכי לו לבת.
And he had reared Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, and she had neither father nor mother. The girl was finely featured and beautiful. And when her father and mother had died, Mordechai adopted her as his daughter.
Okay, it's here, ויהי אומן הדסה. What it mean? Sorry, omen hadasa. What does it mean, omen hadasa? He used to nurse Hadasa. But look what it says. He Esther. So wait, her name is Esther, her name is Hadasa. What does it come to tell us? And why does it say that what's happening here? Why does it mention Hadasa? If her name is Hadasa, like we explained, why they call her Esther? So the original name of Esther HaMalka was Hadasa. Now you remember in Sukkot, we take the 4 species. You remember? One of amongst the 4 species we have, Hadas. Remember Hadas? Mortal. Remember that? Myrtle, sorry. That's the right explanation, myrtle. Why did they call it here Hadasa? What's the connection? Anyone have any idea? Russell, I see that you're reading the... No.
Nothing there. This is the myrtle has a sweet smell but a bitter taste. So Esther was sweet to Mordechai but bitter to Haman.
Okay, that's one opinion. That's the bring, if I'm not mistaken, that's what you're reading, that's the article, nachon? What you have in there? Atzkral. Okay, that's the Atzkral opinion. I'm going to bring a different opinion completely. If we look at the myrtle, when you touch it, only when you start rubbing it, you get the smell. נכון? Esther on the outside, you can never see any different. Esther that become a queen, 227 countries, Rabotai. It's not just South Africa or Eretz Israel that you have a prime minister that he think that he have everything. Lehavdil, if we take Obama, that he have 49 states. Now we're talking about 127 countries. Countries, not states, countries. She was the queen. Our Mefarshim say, and the Midrash bring, that she never changed. Hadassah was all the time modest. Esther was all the time modest. She stayed modest. She was all the time humble. She stayed humble. No one can see the difference. When you can see the difference with Esther, only when you start coming closer to her. On the outside, she didn't change. But to see the beauty of Esther, you know when you can see it? Only when you come closer to her. And that's what the Megillah shows us. How Esther had the vision. And she, with her vision, she saved the Jewish people. She, with the help of Mordechai, obviously with the help of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, without HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the vision, how to do that. And not only that, that Esther, while she was a queen, she all the time, I'm going to tell you now something, I don't know if you heard that, she never eaten meat. You know that? In the house of Ahashverosh, she never eaten meat. What she used to eat, you know? Vegetables, fruit, and seeds. Our Mefarshim say. Why? Because everything there wasn't kosher. So now immediately you're going to ask, how does that fit later on? Ve'ana'ara yefat mar'eh, and she was a beautiful girl. How can it be? HaKadosh Baruch Hu make miracle that Dafka Hashverosh liked her more than anyone else. Why? Because it's against everything. When a person doesn't have enough nutrition, the skin change. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu say everything is against nature. Everything was a miracle, but hidden miracle. And I don't know if you heard that, you know, in Bet HaMikdash HaRishon, the first temple, the miracle that the Jewish people used to see was more obvious than in the second temple. After the destruction of the first temple, the miracle that was in the second temple was more hidden, wasn't so obvious. So here it's come to show you, although everything was hidden, the miracle was there. And now we understand what it says, Vayihi omen Hadassah hi Esther. Now we understand why they call her Esther, but her real name is Hadassah. Esther, Milshon Esther, that she hidden. That's why she hidden her nationality. You know why she hidden her nationality? You remember we spoke about it, Ivor? Remember? We spoke about it the other evening. Easy, you remember? We spoke about why Esther hidden her nationality. Remember, Russell? We were sitting here outside. So I'll tell you why. Esther never told anyone her nationality what she was chosen. So there's few opinion that, number one, if everyone will know from the beginning that she's Jewish, because Ahashverosh used to hate the Jewish, he wouldn't vote her. He wouldn't give her even a chance to come for that decision if he's going to take her or not. The other thing, that Haman wouldn't do it so obviously. That Haman wouldn't put his decree against the Jews like he done, on the way that he done it. So that's why she hidden her nationality. Now we understand why Esther never told her nationality. Let's go to verse 15. I'm going to skip quite a bit, so we'll do quite a bit of that. Verse 15, ובהגיע תור אסתר בת אביחיל, דוד מרדכי, אשר לקח לו לבת, לבוא אל המלך, לא ביקשה דבר, כי אם את אשר יאמר הגיס הרע סריס המלך שומר אנשים, ותהי אסתר נושאת חן בעיני כל רואיה.
Now, when the turn came for Esther, daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordechai, who adopted her as his own daughter, to come to the king, she requested nothing beyond what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, guardian of the woman, had advised.
Okay, so on this pasuk, I'm going to show, number one, a miracle that happened. I'm going to bring sources to it. And number two, I'm going to bring a source. From here we can learn that the Megillah been written in Ruach HaKodesh. Everyone understand what it means, Ruach HaKodesh? Sorry? No. Very good. Rabota, if you don't understand one word, stop me. Please stop me and I will explain. Ruach HaKodesh mean by the Holy Spirit of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How we have a proof that the Megillah been written by the Holy Spirit. So we'll prove it from that pasuk. But let's start with the miracle. If you read carefully, it said Dod Mordechai. Uncle, her uncle, Mordechai. But it's missing Vav. When you write Dod, it means Daled, Vav, Daled. Here it said Daled, Daled. Why does it say so? That's what the Mefarshim ask. So, to understand that, we have to go to the Midrash in Tehillim. There is a Midrash in Tehillim that speak about, especially about that, and Al Sheikh HaKadosh, Rabbi Moshe Al Sheikh. Rabbi Moshe Al Sheikh speak about it. From that it say Daled Daled, it's written Daled Daled. If you read Daled Daled in Hebrew, it's Dad. Dad, it means a breast. So our sages say that here happened a miracle. That when Mordechai took Esther, remember we explained at the beginning in the first session number 1, we said that Esther, when her mother fell pregnant, her father died. Remember that? When Esther been born, her mother died. Mordechai took her. He adopted her. He was a nurse to her. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a miracle that his chest grown up and he have milk inside and he used to feed her. Now you're all gonna say, what for? What is that? Doesn't make sense. Yeah. Like Ivan look at me like this with his face, huh? Why is that? We have to understand, Rabotai, miracle doesn't happen for nothing. We have to understand what the Midrashim say, and why is that? Why is that? You remember what I said just now, that she hidden her identity? Not for nothing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a miracle that Mordechai have milk, and he used to nurse her, he used to feed her. Why is that? Many Jewish people was in Shushan. Not only that, many women can breastfeed Esther while she was a baby. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to create a miracle that Dafka Mordechai will have milk suddenly now, while she's a young girl, while she's still a baby? So the Mefarshim explain, Rabotai, listen carefully to what the Mefarshim say. The Mefarshim say, and actually I'm going to tell you the Pirush that I'm going to bring, the commentary that I'm going to bring. It's Rabbi Moshe Al Sheikh says something very interesting. If they would send Esther to any other nurse to nurse her, her identity will be found. And if identity will be found, she couldn't be hidden it. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want Esther, no one to know her identity, so Esther will be anonymous. No one will know her. Therefore, Mordechai have to breastfeed her. He have to nurse her from a little girl. So what we're seeing here? We're seeing here, number one, that even that Esther was nursed by Mordechai was a reason for it. So here we see a miracle. But then we say that we're going to bring another important thing to prove that this Megillah been written by Ruach HaKodesh. Where does it say? And listen to this word. ותהי אסתר נושאת חן בעיני כל רואיה. You want to read it? ותהי אסתר נושאת חן בעיני כל רואיה. Just the last verse on 15. Just the last few words.
Esther would captivate all who saw her.
How can anyone say that Esther actually been liked, but everyone that saw have not in Ruach HaKodesh? No one can say that. Here's a proof, Rabotai, from that word, that the Megillah said that everyone liked Esther just by looking at her, just by seeing her. Here's a proof that this Megillah been written by Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, now I'm going to skip and we're going to move on to chapter 3. How much time we have, Ivan? Enough. Okay. So, chapter 3. In chapter 3, Rabotai, now from verse 1, Rabotai, from verse 1 to verse 7, okay, it's speaking about Haman HaRasha. Here, Haman, we're going to be in chapter 3, we're going to be introduced to Haman HaRasha. Now, if you read carefully, from chapter 3 to chapter 7, okay, that means that there is 70 verses. Chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, there is 70 verses. If you want, I'm going to make it easier for you, you're going to add it up. Chapter 3, there is 15 verses. Chapter 4, there is 17 verses. Accountant, are you following me? Chapter 5, there is 14 verses. Chapter 6, there is another 14 verses. And in chapter 7, there is 10. Together, 70. What's the connection? About I listen what it say, what Ari HaKadosh say. And it's mentioned in the holy books. From here, we're learning something very important. That from those 70 verses that we have on the next five chapters, we're learning that the kingdom of Haman was only 70 days. That means that Haman have the entire power, the full power, from the day that Ahasuerus given him the ring until he been hanged, 70 days. And those 70 days was the most crucial days for the Jewish people. Okay, let's go on chapter 3, verse 2. And here we see what we try to understand בעזרת השם what's happened. וכל עבדי המלך אשר בשער המלך קורעים ומשתחווים להמן, כי כן ציווה לו המלך ומרדכי לא יקרא ולא ישתחווה.
All the king's servants at the king's gate would bow down and prostrate themselves before Haman. For this is what the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordechai would not bow down and prostrate himself.
If you look at that verse, you can understand something very important. Mordechai decided not to bow down to Haman. Okay, you decide not to bow down, that's fine. You can put yourself in danger. Here Mordechai put the entire Jewish people, about I listen carefully, the entire Jewish people in danger. Why? How can he do that? Why did he done it? And how can he do that? There is two questions here we have to understand. Mordechai was not willing to bow down to Haman. By that, he put the entire Jewish community or the Jewish population that was in 127 countries that was underneath the kingdom of Ahasuerus into danger. How can he do that? Number one, where did he get the psak halacha? We have to understand. Number two, how can he do that? How can you not bow down? Where did he learn? So to understand that, we have to go to understand is what Hazal telling us. Hazal is Hachamenu Zichronam Livracha tell us something very important. And they bring two reasons for it. Hazal said that Haman HaRasha have on his chest a tattoo, a big tattoo, that was Avodah Zarah. That he engraved on his body, Avodah Zarah. Everyone understand what Avodah Zarah? Either? No, very good. Avodah Zarah, it's idolatry. Idol worshipping. Not idolatry, sorry, idols. So he draw his idols on his chest, and he used to, the Gemara tell us, that he used to open his button so everyone can see part of that. So when everyone used to see him, they can see the Avodah Zarah, and they used to bow down, not only to him, to his Avodah Zarah. Mordechai decided, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. Why? And now we're going to answer where Mordechai learned that he's not allowed to bow down to Haman HaRasha. Why? Because we have halacha. We have three things. Yihareg ve'al ya'avor. What it means, Yihareg ve'al ya'avor? I'm going to explain my words. That a person rather be killed and not do the avera. One of them is Avodah Zarah, to worship idols. Number two, shpichut damim, murder. Number three, gilui arayot. What it means, gilui arayot? Immorality. Mordechai saw that everyone bowing down to Haman, and Haman actually showing them the Avodah Zarah, that he wants everyone to bow down to who mainly? To the Avodah Zarah. There is a psak halacha, there is a verdict that our sages tell us, Yarek ve'al la'avor. Therefore, he didn't bow down. Yeah. That's the case, okay. Very simple. But it's not so simple. Now I'm going to bring you another story. And the Midrash brings that. I don't know if I mentioned that in the past, Mordechai was one of the most important minister of Ahasuerus. Did you ever heard about it? Did you hear about it, Gideon? You know. Now we're going to prove where. Where's the source for it? Did you ever heard that Mordechai was one of the most important minister of a king Ahasuerus? Before, I'm talking about now. You never heard about it. Because the Midrash say like this. Listen to this story. Ahasuerus was in control of 127 countries. One day, one of the countries decided to cause a coup, similar to what's happened now in Lithuania. Vladimir Putin decided it's not good enough. He wants to invade little Lithuania. Ahasuerus decided, I'll do the same, but I'm not going to invade myself. I'm going to send two big officers. One of them is Mordechai Yehudi, that he was an officer in the army. And another officer, you know who was the other officer? Haman HaRasha. So two brigade or two platoon been sent to try to stop that coup. And they did. They surrounded the city. I'm going to make the story short. Until they surrounded. But during that time that they was waiting and surrounding the entire country, okay, they make sure that they took enough food. And they're gone. Mordechai Yehudi obviously have a brain like Jewish accountant. He makes sure that the food that been given every day was controlled. Haman HaRasha didn't have control over his supplies. And after a few months, the food is finished. Now his guys, the soldier, want food. There's no food. And they said to him, if you're not going to give us food, we actually, or we're going to kill you, or we're going to... That's it. We're going to leave that job. Haman didn't have a choice. He said, listen, let me go and speak to the other officer. Maybe they can help us, the other platoon. And he came to Mordechai and he said to him, listen, the food supplier is finished. I have no more food supply for my soldiers. Mordechai said to him, what do you want me to do? We both took the same, exactly what you took, I took. He started begging. He said, listen, if you're not going to give me food, my soldier going to kill me. Mordechai at the beginning refused for special reason. The Midrash said that Haman will beg him. Haman agreed. He begged them. And in the end, Mordechai, a Yehudi, agreed to give him food, to him and his soldier. But in one condition, Mordechai said to him, I want you to engrave on your knee that you now become my slave. You are my slave. and I want you to do a tattoo on your legs that you must slave. Haman didn't have a choice. He sold himself to a slave to Mordechai, and he engraved it on his legs. Now he became a slave to Mordechai Yehudi. What's happened? Now we can understand why Mordechai will never bow down to Haman. Because every time that Haman used to come and everyone used to bow down, Mordechai used to tap on his knee. You remember, you must slave, huh? Don't think that everyone bowing down, after all, you must slave. And if he's a slave of Mordechai, he couldn't bow down. So now we understand two reasons that Mordechai didn't bow down, and why he didn't bow down, and why he was willing to put the entire Jewish people into danger. Because number one, we have the halacha, Yehareg ve'al ya'avor. If a person came and people want him to bow down to Avodah Zarah, he's not allowed to do it, rather going to be killed. And Mordechai said, I'm going to be killed because I'm Jewish. I'm the leader of the Jewish people. That's what we say at the beginning, Ish Yehudi. And you remember the story of Hannah with the 7 kids. Everyone remember that? That the king killed all of them. Why? Because none of them was willing to bow down to him and not to the idols. Number 2, Mordechai couldn't bow down to his own slave because he bought Haman. Haman was his slave. Now we understand what it says. Why does it say that Mordechai was not willing to bow down to Haman? Here's just 2 explanations. So when we read the Megillah, it will give us more understanding why did Mordechai done what he done. Shkoach, Rabotai, we're going to say Kaddish.
Shkoach.
רבי חנניה בן עקשיא אומר